Intro. Don't trust the rain. They always say rain is cleansing, that it washes away the sins, the dirt, the pain. But what they forget is that rain also hides things. It muffles screams. It blurs shadows. It invites things that do not belong in the world of the living. I've collected stories over the years, stories that people whispered into my voicemail, emailed me at 3 a.m., or left scribbled on napkins in diners. Some were too ridiculous to believe. Others chilled me to the core. But tonight, I will share with you 3 that I've never forgotten. 3 stories that happened on rainy nights. So close the door, lock it, dim the lights, and whatever you do, don't open the window. Story 1, The Knocking Soul. Location, suburban Ohio, USA. Date, March 13th, 2017. Time, between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. I was 17, home alone for the weekend while my parents visited my older sister in Chicago. The house sat at the edge of a cul-de-sac, quiet, predictable, the kind of neighborhood where nothing ever happened. It had rained all day. By nightfall, the wind howled and the rain turned heavier, so thick it sounded like gravel being hurled at the windows. The power had blinked twice by midnight and finally went out entirely around 1:03 a.m. I lit 3 candles and took out my phone to use as a flashlight. No Wi-Fi, no data. I cursed myself for not downloading the new season of Stranger Things earlier. That's when it started. Knock, knock, knock. 3 soft knocks. Not frantic, not loud, just deliberate. I froze. It was 1:47 a.m. No one ever comes here that late, especially not during a thunderstorm. I stood up, heart hammering in my chest, and peeked through the peephole. Nobody. Just the porch light swaying in the wind, flickering like it was about to die. The rain sheeted down like a curtain. I waited a full minute before slowly walking back to the couch. Knock, knock, knock. Again. This time, it was followed by a whisper. So faint I almost thought it was the wind, but I swear I heard it. Please. My breath caught in my throat. I looked out the window this time. Still no one. Just darkness, rain, and trees shivering in the wind. Then something moved, just to the side of the porch. A tall figure, barely visible, standing unnaturally still under the dripping edge of the roof. No umbrella, no hood, just a silhouette, watching. I backed away and grabbed my baseball bat from the closet. It wasn't much, but it felt better than nothing. I dialed 911, only to realize the call wouldn't go through. No signal. I stood near the window, breathing as quietly as I could. And that's when I saw something that made my blood freeze. The figure was no longer standing on the porch. It was now standing by the kitchen window, right next to me, face pressed against the glass. Except, it wasn't a face. Not really. The skin was too pale, like wax. The eyes were completely black. And the mouth was wide open, grinning, though nothing about it felt human. I screamed and stumbled back. The candle tipped over and went out, plunging the room into darkness. Then I heard the back door click. I ran to my room, slammed the door, and pushed the dresser against it. For the next hour, I sat curled up in a corner, gripping the bat and sobbing. The knocks came again. And again. But I didn't move. At 3:19 a.m., the power came back. The lights flickered on. Silence. I checked every door, every window. Everything was locked. But there, On the fogged kitchen window was a single, smudged handprint, and it was on the inside. Witness, Aiden K., now 25 years old. Submitted, October 2022. To this day, I don't know what it was. I moved out the same year and never stayed home alone again. Every time it rains, I leave all the lights on. Story 2. Scream Beneath the Pines. Location: Northern Georgia, USA. Date: September 9th, 2015. Time: between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. My name is Haley. In 2015, I was 22 and had just finished college. To celebrate, my best friend Amber and I decided to go on a weekend cabin trip up in the North Georgia mountains. It was cheap, remote, and surrounded by pine trees that seemed to stretch forever. No neighbors, no traffic, just nature. The cabin had a rustic charm: wooden floors, a creaky porch, and a small stone fireplace. The kind of place you'd see in a romantic drama. But from the start, something felt off. The air smelled like old leaves and damp earth, even inside. There were odd scratch marks on the doorframe, like claws, not from any animal I knew. Amber joked it was a bear. I didn't laugh. The first night, a storm rolled in. Thick black clouds, rain so loud it drowned out our music. Around 10 p.m., the power flickered twice and went out. We laughed it off, thinking it was just the weather. We lit candles and made hot chocolate on a gas stove. But then, we heard the scream. It came from deep in the forest, not close, but not far either. Long, wailing, like someone was being torn apart. Amber dropped her mug. Was that a fox? I shook my head. No fox screams like that. We stood in silence. Then, a second scream, closer. Then a third, right outside the cabin. I ran to the window and pulled the curtain just an inch. What I saw made me recoil. A woman, standing in the middle of the clearing, drenched, pale, wearing a hospital gown. Her hair hung in long, wet strands. Her mouth hung open in a silent scream, but I could hear no sound now, only the wind and rain. Amber whispered, "Is she okay?" "I don't know," I said. "Maybe she's hurt." We argued whether to open the door. I wanted to help. Amber was shaking her head violently. "She shouldn't be out here. It's a setup. Something's wrong." Then, the woman turned and floated backward into the woods. Not walked, floated, feet above the ground. I slammed the curtain shut. We locked every door, every window, sat by the fireplace with knives and the fire poker clutched in our hands. The screaming came back around midnight, but now it was inside the walls. No matter where we went in the cabin, it was like the walls themselves were moaning, deep, wet, gurgling screams. The air smelled like mud and blood. At exactly 2:07 a.m., the screaming stopped, and the power came back. We didn't sleep that night. At dawn, we packed and ran. Before we left, I turned one last time to look at the woods. There, at the edge of the tree line, the woman was standing again, smiling and waving. Witness, Haley J., now 31. Submitted, April 2023. I checked with local rangers. No hospitals nearby reported missing patients. But 2 hikers went missing in those woods that same month. I never go into forests alone, ever. Story 3. The Disappearing Paw Print. Location, Portland, Oregon, USA. Date, November 2nd, 2021. Time, between 11:30 p.m. and dawn. My name is Eric. That night I was alone. My wife was staying at her mother's and my dog was missing. My dog's name was Buck, a large black Labrador. Smart, cheerful, and loyal. He never ever ran away. But that rainy night, something changed. Around 11 p.m., Buck began growling at the window. He stood stiffly, teeth bared, eyes locked on something outside. He scratched at the glass, growling louder. I looked. Nothing. Just rain and darkness. Then Buck did something he'd never done before. He howled. A deep, sad, guttural sound that made my skin crawl. So I opened the door. He bolted out into the night, and he never came back. 11:57 p.m. I grabbed my coat and flashlight, calling his name. Buck! Buck! The rain soaked my face. The pavement was slick. I scanned every shadow, every bush, every tree. Then I saw them. Paw prints. Buck's, unmistakably. I knew the size, the shape, but something was wrong. They didn't come from anywhere. The first paw print was right in the middle of the sidewalk, no starting trail behind it, just a single print appearing out of nowhere. Then a second, then a third, heading toward the back of my house. I followed. 12:08 a.m. The trail led to the backyard. My flashlight flickered. My breath steamed in the cold air. Then I saw him. Buck. Sitting in the middle of the lawn, soaked, motionless. I called his name. Buck, come. No reaction. I stepped closer, and he vanished. Just like that, gone. No movement, no sound, like a candle being snuffed out. Only the paw prints remained. But now, they were going the other way. Not toward the house, toward the forest. 1:43 a.m. I locked the doors, shaking, confused. I watched the rain hit the glass. I tried to breathe. Then I saw him, at the window. Buck. Soaked, silent, staring. But his eyes were wrong. Pitch black. His mouth hung open. Drool ran down his chin. And behind him, something else. A shadow. Too tall, hunched, watching me. I moved closer. Buck pressed his face to the glass. Then, he vanished. No running, no sound. Just gone. And on the inside of the window where his face had been, a single wet paw print. Witness, Eric L., currently 34 years old. Submitted, March 2024. Buck was never found. Police said coyotes, but my doors were locked, my windows sealed, and I'll never forget that paw print on the inside. The rain never lies, but it hides everything. They say rain cleanses, but sometimes rain doesn't wash things away. It hides them, masks them, covers their sound. So if you hear scratching at your door, don't open it. If your dog growls at the dark, listen, because on rainy nights, you are never alone.